I have a lot of mixed feelings about New Orleans, I would say.
I didn't want her to go back there.
New Orleans was a magnet. Helen could not be kept away.
Was it fear, or was it that you didn't want her to go?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I didn't want to lose her, and it was fear. New Orleans, I think, is a dangerous place.
Central City becomes the site of the city's first murder of the new year. Tonight, the NOPD investigates the fourth murder of 2007.
Already, there have been more murders in the city of New Orleans than days in the new year.
It was the sixth murder in less than 24 hours, and neighbors say it's evidence of a city where crime is out of control.
She said she just had a feeling in her gut that something horrible was going to happen.
Filmmaking is fun.
People didn't think she was real, because she was so nice and friendly.
Helen was like this saint.
A light went out in New Orleans.
I'm Becky Lewis from Columbia, South Carolina.
And why am I talking to you right now?
Well, I'm the mother of Helen Hill, Helen and Jake Hill, and Helen was murdered in New Orleans. So you're doing a story about her, I suppose.
Was it hard for you to say that?
No, it's a fact. I don't think so. I mean, thinking about this interview and going through that whole story has been difficult.
I didn't know Helen Hill, but I wish I did. She grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, a perfectly southern college town with some beautiful tree-lined streets like the one that Helen grew up on. She captured it on film when she was young.
We gave her a camera, and from then on she had a little camera around her neck all the time. I mean, she was always taking, she just loved it. It was magic to her.
Her mother, Becky, and stepfather, Kevin Lewis, opened up a box of memories, literally, to share with me.
There she is in high school. There she is getting married.
Oh.
That was what the dress that she was buried in. I always miss Helen, but I don't have to think about that awful thing that happened, that tragedy in our family. I don't have to dwell on it, and I think I've been thinking about it a lot since you came. I know, I'm sorry, but I'm also always happy for people to hear about Helen and to know what a wonderful person she was, because she really was special.
If most of us live our lives swirling around in shades of gray, Helen lived in full color.
She didn't want to grow up.
Yeah.
She did not want, she kept a journal, and she always talked about finding the good in people and not looking at the dark in life.
She loved carnivals and the state fair, the chickens and the pigs, and a famous circus-like peanut store in Columbia called Cromer's. Helen's husband, Paul Gay-Lunas, first told me about Cromer's when he came to New Orleans 3 years ago.
She would bring me sometimes to this store that she loved to go to as a kid that made circus supplies, so that's where she learned about cotton candy and decorations and different things.
Helen's love of Cromer's makes sense. Her family says she loved the cotton candy parts of life. Things that were bright, deliciously sweet. Things that made you wonder how they are the way they are. Like how tiny sugar crystals almost magically turn into cotton candy's ethereal threads. Around age 10, Helen started documenting those cotton candy moments on film, sometimes literally.
I make short, independent films.
In the film world, Helen is best known for the tiny paper puppets she made with bodies that move and eyes that blink to build stories in part through stop-motion animation.
Oh, okay.
Becky shared some of those with me. Some of those paper puppets starred in her film about making films.
This is a Super 8mm film.
And she wasn't just a filmmaker, she made a lot of visual art, and she was very, very creative. I loved that she was a filmmaker. It was something she was really meant to do.
Like her stepfather and brother Jake before her, Helen studied film and animation at Harvard University. Becky says Jake helped Helen find her people at one of Harvard's dorms.
Jake had the good sense to take her over to see Adam's house. And those were the people, the funny looking people, the weirdos. She felt right at home. She never looked like them, but she fit in with the hippie type of children.
Harvard led her to Paul.
We met at university in 1988, and we were both interested in art and music.
You made me feel so alive. I'm gonna miss you when I go. So goodbye.
That's Paul singing in Helen's film Bohemian Town. He and his band called Piggy played the soundtrack for many of her projects.
They collaborated on everything. They were a team.
Paul is Canadian, and Bohemian Town is a love letter to Halifax, Nova Scotia, where they lived before moving to New Orleans.
Where else can you get coffee and a beignet at 3 o'clock in the morning? And free red beans and rice on Monday evenings. Say, let's go back to New Orleans.
They lived here 3 times because, well, it was a perfect fit for Helen. It's a town with its very own annual carnival.
It was the city that fed her imagination. Helen loved New Orleans.
Most but not all of Helen's films are bright and happy, like she was.
She definitely liked to, explore more serious issues in some of them too. So she made a beautiful movie about her grandfather who died.
Years ago, he played this record over and over and over again in his back den, while my brother and I and all the other neighborhood children would dance to it and watch him show us all his jump roping tricks and how he could walk on his hands.
But this short film includes recordings of interviews with her grandfather, Pop, on his deathbed.
You're in the hospital right now because your kidneys are giving you trouble. Yeah. Later, when we finally did lose him, my brother spoke at the funeral.
When I was 6, Pop built a 3-foot-high tightrope in the backyard. He drove us and other kids around the neighborhood in a 2-seater tandem bike, which to us may as well have been a rocket ship.
That rocket ship sent Helen and Paul off on their life together at their first of 2 wedding ceremonies, the one at the University of South Carolina's campus chapel.
When she got married, it was a wonderful wedding, and we went over to the reception, and here come Paul and Helen with that big white tablecloth dress on, barreling across in my father's tandem bike. It was just amazing. You remember that, Kevin? And she had that big dress on and coming across the horseshoe. So that was a really nice surprise because my father had recently died.
That big white tablecloth dress, as Becky calls it, one Helen begged her mother to buy her in high school, so expensive that Becky made her promise she would get married in it one day.
Throw in her bouquet.
And she begrudgingly did.
In her tablecloth
Laura Ashley dress.
Laura Ashley dress that I paid a fortune for, that she didn't want to wear again, but I made her.
While Paul and Helen left their traditional Columbia wedding as man and wife, they left their New Orleans wedding as pigeon and chicken. Their New Orleans friends, Sherry and Bergen, tell that wedding story the best.
We weren't there for that wedding, but they wanted a New Orleans wedding too. I had made a very it wasn't beautiful at all. It was actually quite ugly. I made a chicken outfit because it was a factory farm chicken for one of the Earth Days. I wore it on Earth Day, but Helen loved it and she wore that. She wanted that to be her wedding dress. This is their New Orleans wedding picture. Paul was always really neat. That's why he has a business suit on. And Helen was always really wild. That's why she has a chicken outfit on. We all dressed up in various costumes and paraded through the French Quarter. As soon as it got dark, we walked down to the moonwalk, and they set up a little podium, and the wedding was officiated at the moonwalk, on the steps of the moonwalk, there by the water, and was officiated by Michael Gump dressed as a denim dog, who never said a word, he just barked.
It's just so interesting that you're a clown.
I'm QT the clown, big cute little T. I don't do the fanciest because I usually have a crowd of kids, but I put on the fanciest show, I guarantee you. Another picture of Helen and I being clowns together.
Children, don't tremble. I saw it rain for 3 miles.
Paul's an artist/physician.
Worked as a family doctor here, and then I actually had my own clinic here with another doctor in Tremay for about a year or two until the hurricane. I've always worked in the community health center world, or clinics that serve low-income neighborhoods. So it's just something. It was the reason I went into medicine was to do that in the first place.
It was Paul, Helen, and their pet pig, Rosie.
Rosie, of course. Rosie.
She was a really nice pet.
But now they wonder if Rosie may have played a role in Helen's murder. But we'll get to that later.
She invited us to an Easter party, and she had made a basket full of those plastic Easter eggs, and inside each one of them, she had written, "We're having a baby."
How Helen doted over her little nursling. We just loved him so much. We were like crazy parents, like all parents are, right?
Mm-hmm. They named him Francis Pop, what Helen called her grandfather. Becky says she used to joke with Helen about it.
I said, Helen, you know, he had a real name.
Does he look like her?
You know, I just talked to somebody today who's the picture of him and said he looks exactly like Helen, and a lot of people say that.
Yes, there's a very distinctive trait that they share, and I call them the Hill eyes. My last name is Hill, Helen's last name was Hill, and there's a certain sort of very beautiful blue eyes that are shaped a certain way that runs in the Hill family.
Jake, Helen's brother, has them. They also shared a love for New Orleans.
But when Hurricane Katrina was on its way toward New Orleans, we guessed that nothing would happen. We took the baby, the pig, but left the cats behind with lots of cat food.
They evacuated to South Carolina and moved into Becky's house. That year, Helen told friends they were living in exile in South Carolina.
In fact, when they were in South Carolina, she started a postcard campaign. Why should we move back to New Orleans? And people wrote all the reasons why they should move back to New Orleans and sent them to postcards so she could present those all to Polly to make sure he knew that so many people wanted them to come back to New Orleans.
Becky begged her not to go.
I don't know, I think that were there bad things happening in New Orleans at that time?
Yes, there were.
Alarmed at the disturbing return of violent crime, with 5 young people shot dead in a single incident over the weekend.
We need to see the harbor police and the levee police and the bridge police and every other kind of police assisting post-Katrina to make sure that hurricane crime isn't the crime that finally wipes us out.
A murder in broad daylight. 2 men gunned down in Central City. The National Guard moves in, responding to the mayor's appeal for help.
Despite all of that,
She definitely really wanted to come back, that's for sure, after Hurricane Katrina.
so they packed up their car, Helen, Paul, Poppy, and Rosie, and moved into this double in the Marigny. Helen had a film to finish that had New Orleans ties, and she wanted to help the city rebuild.
What is it about Helen that seemed to draw people?
Her excitement about life and the way she made everyone feel special. Everyone felt like Helen's my best friend.
Helen was their best friend.
Please, my wife, please, she might be dead. Please come right now, please, God, please, God, please, God.
It was January the 4th, and it was a beautiful day. I was out walking, and Kevin met me at the door, and he said, I think you told me or something. I said, oh no. And I called Paul. I said, Paul, this isn't true. And he said it was. It's very rough.
I first met Sherry in Bergen in 2007.
She went quick, and it probably didn't hurt, but it hurt him very badly to hear her cry out. Oh, it was horrible. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I think the hospital, somebody from the hospital called and said, you need to come here because your friend Paul is going to have surgery and he needs you to take the baby. I'm like, what? What's happened? She said, your friend Paul, he's been shot and is going to have surgery. And all I could say was, what about Helen? What about Helen? They wouldn't tell me anything.
His wife lay dead next to him, a gunshot wound to her neck.
On January 4th, 2007, Helen was shot and killed by an intruder in their home. Paul says he was shot 3 times, shielding Poppy, hiding in the bathroom to protect him.
Before Katrina, this house where Paul and Helen lived was in a neighborhood considered safe.
Helen's murder made national news. She was one of 6 people murdered in 24 hours.
No one feels safe.
Come to this day with 6 murders in 24 hours. It's just a horrible thing, not only for the citizens, but for the men and women's department.
Crime had been down after the storm, and as the violence started to come back, that enraged a traumatized New Orleans that was still struggling to recover.
I'm not really sure everyone understands how hard it is to live in this city every single day.
I remember it well.
Riley says the recent murder here in the Marigny appears to be a random act of violence, something that makes this surge in murders even harder to handle.
Helen was murdered less than a week after a beloved high school band director named Daenerys Shavers had been gunned down too. When Shavers was shot and killed in his car in the 2600 block of Dumaine Street. Helen was gone. Daenerys Shavers was gone. 48 Hours profiled both killings in an episode they titled Storm of Murder.
Officers found the body of 25-year-old Daenerys Shavers lying in the middle of the street.
My name is Nikita Shavers. I am the younger sister of Daenerys Shavers. I'm the founder and executive director of the Daenerys Shavers Educational Fund and director of Girls NOLA.
When did we meet?
Ooh, we met back in 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
It's a long time.
Yeah. We coming up on our 20th anniversary.
That's crazy. And you're all grown up now.
I mean, all grown up.
You were, how old were you whenever Daenerys passed?
I was, I believe, 18.
Nikita was thrust into activism when her brother died. He was a really talented snare drummer for the Hot 8 brass band. The Hot 8 brass band plays with a heartbeat, known as 25-year-old Daenerys Shavers. Thursday night, that heartbeat went silent.
Always had a smile on his face. The Hot 8 were on tour with Spike after Katrina. He came, got the Hot 8, so he and Spike got really close.
Oh.
So Spike Lee, when he was filming when the levees broke, Daenerys is the one, if you go watch it, he took him on a tour through the Lower Nine, showed him like our house where the levee broke and everything. And so by the time that one premiered, he had already died.
At the time of his death, Daenerys was working to help kids find an outlet other than violence. As the band director at Rob Wayne High School in downtown New Orleans. I really wish I had known him too. I was just 3 months on the job as a new reporter at WWL-TV, covering a city that was a fraction of its pre-Katrina self. But that sliver of the old Crescent City was preparing to raise its voice louder than ever before about wanting the bloodshed on the streets to stop. And a massive protest march, the historic March on Crime.
I'm here to tell you today that we are taking a stand. We taking our city back.
I was a baby, and I didn't know if I had all the right words to say. I didn't know you know, if I was doing all the right things, but I knew that my heart was pure and it was full. And I knew that we all felt the exact same way in that moment. We wanted change. We deserved answers. We deserved a better city.
Thousands of people from all corners of New Orleans marched through the streets to City Hall that day. Nikita was headed back to college, but she literally turned around and pulled up just in time to speak to the crowd.
I ask that you not let the death of my brother, Mrs. Helen Hill, and all the rest of my New Orleans citizens go in vain.
They wanted more from then Police Chief Warren Riley, DA Eddie Jordan, and Mayor Ray Nagin. Gives me goosebumps just remembering it.
I want to say, shame on you, Mayor Nagin, Superintendent Riley, District Attorney Jordan. You have really let us down.
I was feeling sad and angry, so I was glad somebody was expressing that too, you know.
In a weird way, it made me proud because Helen was a social justice advocate herself. I think she would have liked that her death was at least energizing some people for a good cause. But she was also being buried that same day, and the cold reality of that was she was my sister, and I was happy that this other good thing was happening, but I was, it was sort of a distant thing.
That same day, her family laid her to rest and celebrated Helen's life in South Carolina. Jake spoke at her funeral just as he did at her grandfather's.
The pastors were certain he was in heaven, so I thought about what my mind could not imagine.
But Isaiah and St. Paul said it best of all when they said, "No eye has seen, no ear hath heard, nor has it entered into the mind of man what God has prepared for them that love him."
Helen is buried in Columbia, South Carolina, where she was born, and her grave is right beside her grandfather's, who she was really close with, and it's in a beautiful cemetery under a beautiful big sycamore tree. Then she used to take me there to see her grandfather's grave. She really liked it there.
I think I came out here on her birthday. I came out in May.
Becky took me there during our visit.
The flowers don't last, but I usually try to take daisies out here. She loved daisies. It's right there. You can tell she's got on the little Florentine blue and white dress. I remember they brought her back. At some point I saw her, and I saw the neck wound. She didn't look at all like Helen because there was no life in her.
All right, everyone, Helen loves jazz funerals. We're going to celebrate her today.
Went as a clown with patches from Helen's work.
Most of the people here didn't get to go to South Carolina for her funeral, so it's really their first chance to really say goodbye to Helen.
We made Jake a Grand Marshal outfit, so he was the Grand Marshal.
For my nephew Poppy's sake, he can't go through life knowing that the killer of his mother and the person who shot his father 3 times in front of him is still out there.
19 years later, the investigation is ice cold.
When did you first get a sense that it was going off the rails?
I think it was the moment that Paul was accused of being uncooperative. And it was a direct quote by a senior member of the NOPD in the press.